Azuro is the leading decentralized betting protocol that anyone can build on top of. Two problems. Azuro is a B2B2C protocol. And the first problem is a B2B problem. Azuro is essentially democratizing the business of betting. Azuro is making it extremely easy for anyone to build a betting website in a permissionless way without any need for upfront capital or any know-how in terms of risk management of a betting service. This is a dramatic improvement comparing to how someone can start a betting service or a betting site today. And then secondly, Azuro is a fully on-chain decentralized betting protocol that is trustless, non-custodial, and transparent. This means that Azuro essentially addresses problems centralized betting like lack of transparency, lack of fairness, client payouts or delayed payouts, etc. to users. So in that regard, it is a dramatic improvement in terms of the betting experience that users can get compared to what they can get with centralized companies. Betting has been around for, history says, more than 2,000 years. So it really is an ancient activity. It supposedly started in the ancient Olympics. And a bet is like one of the first forms of contract between people. So it is today a massive industry with allegedly more than 2, maybe even more than 3 billion people that place bets on sporting events at least once per year. However, this absolutely immensely popular activity and huge industry is plagued by lack of fairness and transparency. Essentially, betting is a zero-sum game, which puts the betting companies versus the players. And pretty much all the power in that game is in the betting company's hands. So it can become ugly at times. At the same time, betting was possible in a decentralized way for quite a while now. Actually, decentralized prediction markets have been around since 2015, but they suffer from really poor user experience and basically no liquidity. But bottom line is they don't work. They are not a viable alternative to centralized betting. So what Azuro does is addresses the problems with both centralized betting in terms of the fairness and transparency. Azuro is fully on-chain, non-custodial, and fully transparent. And the problems with prediction markets by way of solving the problems with liquidity and the user experience. So as a result, with Azuro, you get something really unique, but overall better. Non-custodial, transparent, more fair, and we believe more fun as well. Azuro allows for the creation of a feed with priced and liquid betting markets on-chain. This feed basically acts like an on-chain B2B solution for anyone who wants to build a betting site. That's the core of the model. At the center of this model is a new liquidity pool design, which is called the liquidity tree. The liquidity tree allows for liquidity providers and data providers to interact on-chain. Obviously, the liquidity providers provide money in exchange for potential yield. The data providers provide metadata about betting markets, and they also provide pricing, basically the odds of these betting markets. These two entities, via the Azuro set of smart contracts, interact together, and at the end of that interaction, you have a feed with priced and liquid betting markets. So essentially, at the protocol level, we have these two parties, LPs and data providers. And then at the application level, there is the so-called front ends or decentralized applications. These front ends can permissionlessly connect to this betting feed and use it to create a UI. It can be a website, app, widget, really whatever, where people can come and bet. And last but not least, as part of the ecosystem is the token holders through a DAO, when they essentially govern this ecosystem. A little bit more maybe about the business model. In Azuro, all revenue is generated and basically initially kept in the liquidity pool. So in short, the liquidity pool is used to bootstrap the liquidity in the betting markets. So over time, the liquidity pool basically makes profits, so it grows in size. And from this revenue, parts are going to the different participants in the ecosystem to reward them what they do in the ecosystem. Now the most popular prediction market is poly market, but just for extremely popular things like who's going to be the next president of the US or something like that. So the problem with prediction markets for betting, and especially for sports betting, is they are peer-to-peer. In this model, a market maker has to create the markets manually, put their own money behind the market, so they need to take risk, and price the markets. On the other hand side, you have somebody who comes and bets on this market. This puts way too much pressure on the market makers, and basically no markets are being created, so liquidity is extremely scarce. There's no events, there's nothing to bet on. So Azuro is the first and currently the only protocol to utilize pooled liquidity for betting markets via a new liquidity pool design, which is called the liquidity tree. Pooled liquidity basically scales betting markets just in a similar way like pooled liquidity via the AMM scaled DEXs. The liquidity tree pool is really a sophisticated piece of code that allows betting markets to be priced and made liquid on chain and with a permissionless and I would suggest anybody who's curious, especially like developers who are curious about this, to check it out, check the GitHub. It really is crazy but meaningful innovation. Azuro does have the ingredients for a powerful community down the line in two ways. One, what it does has meaningful positive impacts on society, and particularly this part of society that bets. And secondly, it is also a revenue generating model and a protocol that can support its own governance, and it will make sense for people to get involved and participate in governance. So I think these two things together are what's basically well enough to have a strong community over time. Once you realize that you have those, you should not think that you have to basically bootstrap it artificially. As I said, Azuro is a pure token project with DAO governance, but there's no token yet. So at the moment, the DAO is in, let's call it the V1, where members or contributors and influencers of the project, etc. But as the project develops, this will of course change. And in the later versions of the DAO, it will be only for Azuro token holders. So in that regard, it's pretty clear. There isn't a concrete plan that can be shared now, but I would say that as Azuro grows in popularity and as the protocol matures in terms of liquidity, users, front ends, essentially basically establishing product market fit, the token is more and more needed. But then beyond that, what is really, really great is Azuro is a revenue generating protocol. And there's many aspects in terms of how this ecosystem works that can be managed better through the presence of a token. One example would be the liquidity in the liquidity pools. The protocol needs liquidity in order to support the betting market, but it doesn't need too much liquidity. So if the betting is on the protocol is X, and then the liquidity is 10 times X, then obviously 9 parts of the liquidity are remaining unutilized. So to manage such situations, there can be some good and meaningful friction introduced through the token in order to manage the sizes of the liquidity pools. There's other ways that are connected not so much to the liquidity, but also to the betting, where the token to unlock some niceties. So I think beyond the governance, there is really great opportunities to have the token work for the protocol in a meaningful way. But of course, this will remain to be determined and also as the DAO progresses. As a team, we have really deep knowledge and really deep capability and also connections in the online betting world, digital consumer products, and in blockchain technology. That mixture of people bring really unique expertise, but really meaningful to what Azuro is trying to do. I myself was exposed to online betting for a long time. I led consumer business for a multi-billion global payments company for many years, and it specialized in high-risk payments. So a lot of that was connected to betting. Then Parur, another contributor to Azuro, he used to be a professional bettor himself, and then he started the biggest online media for betting in Eastern Europe. And then Dan, who is behind the liquidity tree as a tech person, he also used to be a pro bettor before he started coding his Solid. So to sum it up, I think it really is a great combination of crypto, Web3 knowledge and capability, and deep understanding of bet as a business as well. Azuro had great backers in terms of big names like Delphi Digital, Arrington Capital, Alliance, Ethereum Ventures, Hypersphere, and of course you guys. And also we had key partners / investors like Gnosis in particular, which is just an outstanding team and have been very, very active in helping us, especially on the tech side. And also we launched the beta of Azuro on Gnosis chain, etc. And other projects like Merit Circle, where we see like a lot of synergies down the line with Merit as a. And in terms of 7X, I think you guys were very early and we're very, very excited about this, which we really appreciate it. And then you've turned out to be extremely hands-on, rarely I'd say proactive in trying to help, both strategically and both even tactically. And it's been definitely a good choice to have you on the cap table as well. And we definitely look forward to having more positive and meaningful interactions.